third lecture of soil mechanics, we will see the details information about standard penetration test. So the contents of today's lecture is, we will understand what is meant by standard penetration test. Then we will also study the purpose of standard penetration test. So in this standard penetration test, we will use one sampler. This sampler is called as split spoon sampler. So in today's video, we will also learn about the importance of split spoon sampler and the procedure for standard penetration test, how the standard penetration has been carried out. Then after standard penetration test, the correction has been made to the result, to the standard penetration number. So what are these corrections, what are the purpose of these corrections, okay? And then finally we will understand what is the relation of the standard penetration number, which is obviously after correction, with the properties of the soil. This correlation we will study, okay? So first, what is the standard penetration test? So it is the method of subsoil exploration, which is very simpler method. Then it measures the resistance applied by the soil to the penetration of split spoon sampler, okay? Then it also provides the indirect measurements of soil relative density and approximate shear strength of the soil. Then it is also used to determine the unconfined compressive strength of soil, then frictional angle, and it is also used to design the foundations, okay? So standard guideline of the standard penetration test has been given in IS 2131 1981, okay? Then it is also useful to determine the bearing capacity of the soil, and the information of this standard penetration test is useful for designing the safe foundation for building and other structures. So this is overall introduction of standard penetration test. So in this slide we will see the photograph of standard penetration test along with the schematic sketch, okay? Basically as the name resembles the penetration, okay? So we are using sampler, which this sampler is called as split spoon sampler in the standard penetration test. So in this test we will carry out the penetration of split spoon sampler into this soil by applying the some amount of energy from the top side of this split spoon sampler, and the energy consists of the application of hammering blows with the hammer weight of 63.5 kg and the height of fall of 750 mm, okay? So we simultaneously apply the number of blows to this anvil. This is anvil portion. This is again connected to drilling rod, and this drilling rod is again connected to standard split spoon sampler, okay? So as we apply the number of blows here, this energy get transferred and the penetration of the split spoon sampler occurs into the ground, okay? So these peoples are doing standard penetration test, okay? So this pulling and releasing of this anvil portion, hammer portion, can be done by using this rope, okay? Then the split spoon sampler, this split spoon sampler is attached to this bottom portion of this drilling rod, and this split spoon sampler is allowed to penetrate into the ground so that the soil goes inside into the split spoon sampler, okay? And then after withdrawing the soil sample from split spoon sampler from the ground, the soil can be used for determining the properties of the soil, determining the unconfined compressive strength of the soil, okay? Determining the natural water content and density of the soil, okay? So this split spoon sampler comprises of three main parts. First one is this coupling. This is coupling portion. Second is this split steel tube. This steel tube, it can be splitted two side for the extraction of soil sample. And then bottom portion is driving shoe. This driving shoe is used to guide this split spoon sampler in vertical direction into the ground level, below the ground level, okay? Now there is a rule as per guideline that the test will be calculated, will be conducted at every change in the strata of the soil. Okay, we have to carry out this standard penetration test at every change in the strata of the soil. If the strata is unchanged or uniform, then this test is continued at the distance less than 1.5 meter. At every 1.5 meter or the distance which is less than 1.5 meter, we have to carry out standard penetration test in case of strata is uniform. Okay, so this is about split spoon sampler and guideline for the number of tests in varying strata and similar strata. Then in this test, the procedure is, first one is the setup is made. Setup means the tripod, placing of tripod, locating the borehole point is made. Then the borehole is drilled by using drilling tools, and then it is withdrawn and the borehole get cleaned. Okay, then the assembly of split spoon sampler along with the drilling rod is lowered into the borehole, and then the blowing or the with the help of drop hammer of 63.5 kg weight and height of fall of 750 mm, this hammering will be continued, and the rate of hammering will be equal to 30 blows per minute. Okay, this is the standard rate as per guidelines. And then the number of blows for every 150 mm penetration will be recorded. Okay, and then the number of blows for first 150 mm penetration is neglected or discarded, as it is considered as a sitting drive. And then the number of blows for second and third 150 mm penetration, that is 300 mm penetration, is considered as the recorded standard penetration value. Okay, so it is denoted by NR. Okay, and then there is another one guideline that if your recorded or the number of blows for 150 mm penetration exceeds 50, then the test is discontinued, because as the number of blows are more than 50 for 150 mm penetration, this resembles the very dense strata interpretations, and in that case we have to protect our equipment also. Okay, then after recording the standard penetration number for last 300 mm penetration, this standard penetration numbers required some corrections. Okay, so and then after applying this correction, the standard penetration number is useful to calculate or determine the properties of the soil. So first one is overburden pressure correction. So in case of overburden pressure correction, what happens? Basically, this SPT test is carried out in mostly in cohesion-less soil. So in case of cohesion-less soil at shallow depth, the standard penetration number is underestimated. That is, penetration is higher, but we underestimate the standard penetration number. However, for higher depth, as the penetration is increases with respect to depth, it is overestimated. So in that case, for uniformity of standard penetration test throughout the depth, the correction has been applied, and this correction is called as overburden pressure correction. Okay, so Gibbs and Halls in 1957 has recommended this overburden pressure correction. The formula for overburden correction is NC is equal to NR into 350 divided by sigma 0 bar plus 70. So this NC is the corrected standard penetration number, NR is the recorded standard penetration number, and this sigma 0 bar is the effective overburden pressure. This simply it can be calculated by making a product of unit weight to the depth at which the standard penetration test is carried out. Okay, and this formula is only applicable when the sigma 0 bar value is less than or equal to 280 kilonewton per meter square. If it is greater than or equal to 280 kilonewton per meter square, then this correction is not required. Okay, we directly take the NR is equal to NC. Okay, and then again there is a one guideline that the NC, the ratio of NC by NR should be always lies between 0.45 to 2. Okay, and if this NC by NR ratio is greater than 2, then NC should be divided by 2. Okay, this is as per the IS code guidelines. And then after calculating this NC, then there is a second correction. This correction is called as dilate NC correction. This correction is applicable in case of silty fine sand and fine sand. If the strata contains high amount of silty fine sand and fine sand, then this dilate NC correction is applied. So what happened in case of dilate NC correction? In silty fine sand and fine sand with the presence of water table, the pore water pressure generates at the bottom of borehole, and which exert the certain extra penetration resistance to the split spoon sampler. So to neglect or to reduce this penetration resistance for uniformity of results, we apply the dilate NC correction. Okay, so the Terzaghi and Peak in 1967 has recommended the dilate NC correction, in which the formula has been given, and the formula is NC is equal to 15 plus half multiplied by NR minus 15. Again, NC is the corrected standard penetration number and NR is the NC value, that is corrected standard penetration number after applying the overburden pressure correction. So therefore, first we will apply the overburden pressure correction, and second we apply the dilate NC correction. Okay. Then there is another guideline that after applying the dilate NC correction, before applying the dilate NC correction, if the NR, that is recorded standard penetration number, is less than or equal to 15, then the guideline shows we have to take the NC is equal to NR directly. Okay, these are the guidelines. Okay, then we will understand what is the correlationship between the corrected standard penetration number with the soil properties. So in guideline, the correlation has been made between the standard penetration number, which shows the degree of compactness of the soil, which also gives the rough idea about the relative density of soil, and the angle of internal friction. For example, for the standard penetration number, after applying the correction, which lies from in between 10 to 13, then the degree of compactness of the soil is medium. Then relative density of the soil lies between 35 to 65%, and the respective angle of internal friction lies between 30 to 36. Okay, so this is the application of standard penetration number to find out the properties of the soils. Again, this standard penetration number is also used to calculate or to find out the rough idea about the ultimate bearing capacity of the soil also. So in this case, the standard penetration number has been correlated with the consistency of the soil and the ultimate bearing capacity of the soil. For example, if the standard penetration number after applying the correction lies between 4 to 8, then the consistency of the soil is similar to the medium, and then the respective ultimate bearing capacity will be varies from 50 to 100 kPa. Okay, so these are the application of standard penetration number. So today we have seen the what is meant by standard penetration test. Second is what is the purpose of standard penetration test. So what is the split spoon sampler, then the procedure for standard penetration test, then the corrections for standard penetration number, and lastly we have also seen the correlation between standard penetration number and the soil properties.